When I got to the door, it was like I said, yeah, almost 7, maybe 6:50 maybe. Went inside. When I went inside, guys, it was like a coliseum. I'm the gladiator, right? I'm in the middle of the floor. I then say, Napoleon, this is wrong. Let my people in. That's what it felt like. Because y'all never heard how I felt that day. You had the people all around from up to down on the floor. And here it is, your super mayor, the fighter that I am.
Hi you guys, welcome back. So we are once again revisiting this caucus kickout fallout, okay? And we're gonna look at some of these interviews she's been doing with the press. We're also gonna look at some footage from the caucus again and some of her Facebook rants that she's been on since getting kicked out the supervisor position. So let's talk about the clip I just showed, okay? In this clip, we have her saying, oh, when I finally got in there around 6:50 or 7, it was like a gladiator stadium. She's comparing it to like a coliseum, and you know, she's there, she's the fighter, and she went up and she confronted Napoleon. And okay, so I was watching YouTuber Cafe of Knowledge, and you guys, like I said, she's always on point with these things. She does, you know, her investigation, and she is funny too. So if you want to check her out, go ahead, check her out over there, Cafe of Knowledge. She's amazing. It's just like sitting there listening to one of your friends talk, you know. And she was talking about how she had her people do some digging on the videos that were taken at the caucus. And she was able to find that Tiffany Henyard was actually in the building before, you know, they made the nomination for supervisor. And so I decided to go ahead and do a little digging of my own. What I did is I went to the Dolton Trustees YouTube page, you guys. And Trustee Ed Steve, he always comes through with the footage, okay? He's been a reliable source of making sure that those board meetings and everything got recorded. Okay, and that's why we have so much footage of Tiffany as a trustee just acting a hot mess like usual.
Now, when you want to remove somebody else, share, have facts, have a reason for why you're removing them. But you're removing me because you're upset with me. So I will advise this board not to support this nutball stuff or removing me as chair of housing that I've been over for the last 5 years.
And that's why I'm always saying, if the residents would have taken the time to go back and look at this footage and see the type of individual that Tiffany Henyard was, they would not have voted for her, okay? Some people knew what type of individual she was and they didn't vote for her. What I also found on the Dolton Trustees YouTube page was that Trustee Kiana Belcher mentioned how she had to go out and convince residents to actually vote for Tiffany Henyard because, surprise, surprise, they were not sold on her.
We did a lot of knocking on doors begging people to vote for her because they wasn't sold with how she came off and portrayed herself as a trustee.
Because of all the turmoil, you know, she would start amongst the other trustees and the mayor during the board meetings. They just knew, okay? They knew what type of person she was. So during the campaign run, they actually had to go out and convince people to vote for Tiffany. So if it wasn't for them, she would not have been mayor. But of course, the narrative that Tiffany always spews goes a little something like this.
I am your leader. I am the one that won by 82%. I am the one that carry you, Trustee Jason House, you, Kiana Belcher, that never wins anything, over the hump. That's why you guys have your seats that you have before you.
I mean, the girl is so disrespectful. We already know that. But getting back to this footage, okay? So, trustee or former trustee, okay? He's running again. So, you guys, if you live in Dolton, go ahead, Clean House 2025. You know the whole deal. And vote Trustee Ed Steve back into his seat because he seems to be a pretty stand-up guy as far as I can see. So, let's get to some of this video that he took during the caucus. So, here we can clearly see Tiffany Henyard coming in. It's about 6:54. I say that because during the video, Trustee Ed Steve actually mentions the time. Let's go ahead and watch, and then I'm going to chime back in.
6:56, it should be getting started.
So not only can we see Tiffany coming in just a little bit after trustee Ed Steve said what time it was, but we also have someone there saying, look, there she is.
Yeah.
Acknowledging that Tiffany had come in. So we see Tiffany come in, and then Kamal comes in after her carrying her daughter, which is also something I feel that, they couldn't have someone watch her daughter while they go to this caucus, because obviously it was going to get rowdy. There's a lot of people that's against Tiffany Henyard. So why would she bring her daughter in this toxic environment? And also her daughter obviously looks tired. She's basically asleep while this man is carrying her. So all this money she's making, she couldn't have someone watch her daughter or her parents. Or her mom, they couldn't watch her. And this is something that another YouTuber, Cooking with Frank, brought up. He said she's bringing her along for a shield. And I agree with that. I feel like she's using her as a shield. Fight your own battles, okay, by yourself. Her daughter should have been somewhere in bed, sleep, instead of being dragged along with this man carrying her to this chaotic event. I'm just saying, because people like Tiffany Henyard are the first type of people to say, oh, don't talk about my child and blah, blah, blah. Girl, you leave your daughter out of it. How about that? Because she's still a little girl and she needs to be able to rest instead of being dragged around all around the town with your crazy self. Okay. And all your shenanigans. That's just my opinion. But what else do we see Tiffany doing? Tiffany doesn't seem to be worried at all, right? She's not coming up there. She's not voicing her opinion. She's not in a frenzy. Like, she mentions, oh, I came in there and it was like a coliseum. She tried to act like it was straight chaos when they finally let her in, and she was the only one standing up against Big Bad Napoleon. Look at her. Does this look like a woman who's worried about losing her seat? No. She only got worried when that reality kicked in, because when that gavel hit, it's like it hit in her soul. Okay, it woke her up like, oh, this is real. Yeah, it's real. While you back there parlaying, with your constituents. Okay? That's when she came her little butt up and she tried to act like she just got there. All right. And she started panicking because all of her supporters weren't there. We know there were some of her supporters already in there because we can see one right here with that bright t-shirt on talking about I stand with Tiff with a chess piece on it. Like, girl, you obviously weren't playing chess that night. But yeah, that's one of her supporters in there already, protesting against the caucus, saying it's unfair, blah, blah, blah.
That's one of our Tiffany supporters.
To see these same people do the same exact thing that we did. They did it. They was already in your dream. We didn't run for our rights as citizens of the community.
All right, you guys, let's get to Tiffany's Facebook rant. So this happened after the caucus. The child had, a couple of Facebook rants after the caucus and so many interviews, and it was just really hard to decide which one to really break down. So this is the one I'm going to break down. And there were a couple of other YouTubers that kind of broke this down. I'm going to give my take on it as well. And I will be chiming in here and there just to explain where I think she's lying or just withholding the truth. These are just my opinions. Let's get started.
Back to this voter suppression. What they did was illegal. When they finally started to let people in about 6:40. Everybody says it about 6:40, 6:45. They did this one young lady, her name Leah, so bogus. She was at the front door with her baby. The people let the baby in, but wouldn't let the mama in. Make that make sense.
All right, let's get this straight. Before I start, I'm not any type of professional in behavior analysis or anything like that, but let's go ahead and get started on what I feel like Tiffany Henyard is doing right here. She is doing conversation diversion, and one tactic used in conversation diversion is evoking emotions. So she's using emotions to encourage people to think with their feelings instead of reason. So what do we hear her say when she starts off? Let's talk about this voter suppression, right?
Back to this voter suppression. What they did was illegal.
And then she immediately goes to talk about a mother getting locked out, separated from her child.
They did this one young lady, her name Leah, so bogus. She was at the front door with her baby. The people let the baby in, but wouldn't let the mama in. Make that make sense.
Just super dramatic, over the top, emotional things. What does that have to do with voter suppression? Okay, the baby can't vote. So you say the woman got locked out or they locked the people out. Stick to that. But that's not what she really wants to do.
So then she started yelling and banging on the door saying, let her in. Y'all let her baby in, and now her daughter on the other side crying. Come on, we moms. Y'all know that. We moms before anything. That should break any of y'all hearts. I don't care what y'all got going on in that building. You don't separate the mom and the baby. No.
She wants to put the people she's talking to in an emotional state so that they can't think clearly and really hear what she's saying, because she's really saying a bunch of nothing. But let's continue.
Let them vote. Do not start this meeting. Let them vote. Me, by myself. With all those people in there, right? Because y'all know I am a fighter. Okay? I'm a fight by myself. I'm cool with that. He didn't let any of you in to the building. Nobody.
So there's a couple of things in this statement that she said. First of all, she's flat out lying. All right. She's saying that no one was let in. What she's really saying is that no one from her team that was going to vote for her was let in. When I already showed you, there was someone in there, Team Tiffany, already, talking a bunch of mess about how this is not right. She already had people in there with the t-shirts on and everything. Okay.
He didn't let any of you in to the building. Nobody.
So that was a flat out lie. And then she starts to make a statement about how she's a fighter, and you guys know I'm a fighter.
Me, by myself. With all those people in there, right? Because y'all know I am a fighter. Okay? I'm a fight by myself. I'm cool with that.
And so that's what's called a convincing statement. And so what a convincing statement is instead of someone responding straight on to the accusations that have been directed towards them, they go on to build themselves up instead, talking about how great they are and things of that nature. We have seen Tiffany Henyard do this plenty of times. I'll just give you guys a little example of her doing it in one of the older board meetings when Trustee Ed Steve questions her about grants. Let's watch.
Once again, you guys had this document. You guys could have reviewed it before we got here. And like y'all always do, grandstand about things y'all don't know about. You make false accusations up here about spending and what it is that I'm truly doing. If you truly wanted to know the answer, Trustee Steves, you could have called me and asked, and then I would have gave you the answer so you wouldn't be up here just throwing things to the public. Because the things that I'm paying for that's for community is through a grant. So please get your facts right before you speak. Please.
What grant we got? What grant we got?
See how all you want all the questions now? I'm not going to go back and forth, but you can have a meeting with me. We can go over what grant we have and how we're building out the ice arena. So you can stop telling people that we're using funds of the taxpayers and this grant money that we're using to build these things that I'm creating. Just like I got another grant for $600,000 to build something else. So please get the facts before you keep lying to the public about what it is I am doing.
So as we can see, she had several convincing statements riddled with her response, when really all she had to do, if it was what she said it was tell them the name of the grant, how they got it. Simple as that, right? You would think so. But no, not with Tiffany Henyard. All right. She has the receipts somewhere. We don't know where, but just trust she has them. Let her get through this election again. Okay. Just elect her in. Again, vote her in again, and then she'll show you the receipts after that. Okay. You must believe it, people, because this is what she says all the time. All right. Let's get back to this Facebook rant.
So while I'm fighting with them to make sure y'all get in, because it's cold, number one. Number two, to make sure y'all had y'all right to vote, they just kept going. Then he tell a dude to come grab me. What? Whole fight would have broke out. Grab me for what? We in there to take care of some business. We in there to nominate people for whatever position.
So, it sounds good. She's saying she's fighting with them to make sure y'all have the right to vote. And it was cold outside. I was trying to get y'all in. According to the news, there were people still outside that were not coming there to vote for her. So it wasn't just her people that were left outside. And we all know she was late. That's her problem. She shows up late wherever she goes, and she expects everyone to bend to her every whim, because that's what she does in the meeting in Dolton and the meetings in Thornton Township. She shows up late while everyone's sitting there. She doesn't care if they're in wheelchairs, crutches, whatever. She shows up late regardless. And that sends a signal to the residents like my time matters more than yours. But let's get back to it.
Why are you grabbing anybody? It's a caucus. That's what it is. You're entitled to free speech. You're entitled to nominate anybody of your choosing. So then with all these intimidation factors, he tells the dude to come on the side of me. And that's when you see this big 300-pound dude on the side of me.
Okay, so many things wrong with this one, all right? So first we hear her talking about it's a caucus, it's a free speech, and
you're entitled to free speech.
First of all, she's the last person to be talking about free speech, when the first thing she did when she became mayor over there in Dolton is switched up the citizens' address. And how she did it was that the citizens were allowed to say things, but then they could not get any type of answers back from her or the trustees.
I want to make sure I'm clear, because a lot of people told me make sure it's really a lot of clarity as it relates to citizens' address. When you come before us, we will hear your question. You come up, you say your concern or whatever your question is, it will go to the appropriate department head. That department head will handle it. They have 48 hours to respond to you. If it's other miscellaneous type questions, it will go to my office, and my assistant or the village administrator will answer your questions. And they will respond in writing through email. So I'm just letting you guys know how the process goes, so you don't think we're trying to shut you down or we're not trying to communicate. We're just trying a different process.
Okay, so as we can see, she changed it up. She's saying it's only going to be the residents addressing the body, and we're not going to respond. We're going to respond a different way through email or whatever. But let's see what Trustee Tiffany Henyard had to say when the previous mayor wouldn't allow the board to answer the citizens' questions.
We've reached our 3-minute mark.
Okay. Well, I agree with you on we should answer you guys' questions when you come forward. That's the purpose of citizens' address being placed before. If we can't answer it, then you won't understand what's going on. Otherwise, keep it at the end, but then we will already have taken the vote.
So as we can see, Trustee Tiffany Henyard felt very passionate about the residents' voices being heard, okay? The crazy thing is that this lady right here, Sandra, I believe that's her name, she was one of the residents talking at the time that Tiffany was making her, stand for the residents. And so the funny thing is that it all came full circle when Sandra then went to a board meeting now that Tiffany is mayor and actually called her out on the behavior of shutting down the residents' voices. Let's watch.
Don't take any pleasure in what I'm about to say, but it's something that's been on my heart for quite some time. I'm a 23-year resident of Dolton, and I'm very disappointed in the way that the village has been ran over the past 2 years. I supported Tiffany for her run. I supported Tiffany before she ran. But I'm so disappointed in some of the things that I've seen and some of the things I continue to see. I'm not certain the direction of this town, but it's extremely disappointing. For me, one of the first order of businesses that I saw that really disappointed me is that you silence the residents.
So there we have it. The hypocrisy lives on, and the hypocrisy is always strong with this one. So all that free speech stuff, she can just save it, okay? And then she went on to talk about how they tried to use a big man to intimidate her by having him come stand next to her.
So then with all these intimidation factors, he tells the dude to come on the side of me. And that's when you see this big 300-pound dude on the side of me.
So let me just say, there's a long list of times that Tiffany Henyard has used either the Dolton police or her goons to intimidate others. And I'm just going to give a few examples of the many times she's abused her positions of power to intimidate others. So first of all, about the guy who came and stood next to her, and she's saying that was an intimidation tactic. Oh, how soon we forget. What about all the times that she's used the Dolton police force to literally stand right next to the podium, sometimes on the podium, just hand all on the podium, while people are trying to give their citizens address? That is a form of intimidation, okay? That's one example. Next, what about the company that was hired to take down all those banners because they were never paid for by the village? She used her goons and a so-called police chief that was not even approved to carry a gun and was illegally hired by her. She used their presence to intimidate the guys that were hired to take down the signs. They were just doing their job, and yet she threatened to sue them as well.
New welcome banners recently went up in that village.
But the company that created them says it has not been paid.
Workers give the banners to Henyard's team, and the matter is cleared up, but not really.
No, we have not received any payment for the banners.
Yeah, they basically taking down my signs.
Yeah,
and I just asked him who told y'all to take them down. He called his boss for it.
So how many have they already taken down?
It's all of them. All of them. Yeah, I'm pressing charges on Keith, just so you know. You might as well write a report for me. Pressing charges on him, and they just in the middle of it, but if I gotta press charges on them too. They just in the middle of it, but if I gotta press charges on them too. Because they taking government property down. I didn't give that order.
For doing their job that they were hired to do. Okay? That's another form of intimidation. At least that's how I viewed it. And then the last one is one of the most troubling ones that I have seen. And it just boggles my mind that this person is still allowed to hang around and have his job after what he did. And this person is Keith Price, okay? And he cursed out Trustee Gonzalez during a board meeting. And all she did was sit there and smirk about the verbal assault.
How many cases have you What does the law say? What does the law say? What's the difference? What does the law say? She said you email on Saturday, but that's a problem. The week you get one on Sunday, and that's okay. No. Y'all games y'all playing, y'all full of You full of that's what you are.
Alright, so we're gonna end.
So I think it's safe to say that Tiffany Henyard has no problem dishing it out. But once she gets a taste of her own medicine, she cries victim. Right? Let's move on.
This is what I'm getting done, y'all, too. Your Superman, this woman. Ain't nobody in there but me. So I'm in the middle, and I'm still standing my ground. 10 toes down for y'all, right? 10 toes down. Hey, Napoleon, this wrong. Let them in. Don't start this vote until all the people get in. Because our ancestors died for this very right that we have today. And that's to vote. It was times, and this lady gave this testimony today, she had to go in the back door in order to vote. Remember? The black and white thing? We always had to use the back door. Same concept in the sense they use over there, right? They went in through the side door, which is the back door. But they didn't register to vote or partake in the caucus. But yet they was inside voting in the caucus. It's so many violations. And then this how you know they scared of your Superman, right? They made a law that says, yeah, Superman can't run if she's running for 2 seats. What you mean? Yes, I am rerunning for Mayor of Dolton. Yes, I am. And I'm also rerunning for Supervisor of Thornton Township. And this is what I mean about that sexist things, guys. About gender discrimination. I'm a woman running for 2 seats. Several men, and the ones I keep telling you that's doing all the bullying, Napoleon Harris. You're the senator, you're the committee man, and now you want to come for a 3rd seat and be the supervisor. Pay attention. It's good for y'all, but ain't good for me. No, who else? Thaddeus Jones. You the state rep, and you're the mayor of Calumet City. Y'all all got 2, 3, 4 seats. Like I said, when a woman does it, it's a problem.
Okay, so here we go. She just laid it all out. She invoked the ancestors. She called sexism, you know, because she's a woman. And, you know, it's just everybody just doing everything to her because she's a woman. And they're trying to take the voting rights away like they did back in the day. And no, nothing has anything to do at all with Tiffany Henyard and the type of person she is and how she acts and how she's treated people. All the things she's done to people, allegedly. So, long story short, she got a taste of her own medicine. Honestly, I don't know if Napoleon Harris is a better fit for the supervisor position. But at this point, I do know that Tiffany Henyard is not the one. Okay? She's not the one to be in any type of position of leadership because she has shown over and over again she is an extreme narcissist, okay? And a sociopath, in my opinion. And we've seen that from her behavior, her long rants, so on and so forth. All right, you guys, that's going to be it for today. And if you've made it this far, please remember to hit that like button And if you're new here, subscribe.
News, come on, fake news. I'm trying to get rid of the word fake, but y'all don't report half the stuff we tell y'all.
This young lady deserves that seat.
We give y'all facts, we give you proof, and you still don't report it.
Henyard was denied a place on the township ballot for re-election because she didn't have a certified assessor on her ticket. That's what we were told by an attorney.
So, I get it. Like I told y'all, everybody out to make a buck, but at least tell the truth.